Hello, ladies. Welcome to our Review program. We're gonna be Red Review meeting. Um, we're gonna be reviewing the program 110. So yeah, it was quite good. She did this update about the musical notes diagram, and I thought that was really great because she added the notions of primary and secondary unfoldment right there. And honestly, like she always says that she never likes to do any graphics or images, but when she does, she's like, I have to do it for the people that process based on images. And sometimes I was like, do I process based on images? Not every time, but sometimes, yes, sometimes definitely we need some help. So we have some questions from Marjolaine and Nienke. So we can start with the first one from Marjolaine. It says, nativization process of all foreign code. Content has their own reference and the reference to their own native stars, but not to the native code. Okay, so this is all about the fact that Sun being a young star and, having its own project and its own space temporal adventure, and being young, its code, the code of Sun has been of bad quality, we could say. So the thing is that in this expressed universe, and I think Alejandra also talked about that regarding the primary and the secondary unfoldment, right? Primary unfoldment, nothing, everything, something. But the secondary unfoldment is the world of the somethings. It is the universe of the somethings. It is the universe where the somethings separate themselves from the source, where they're like, oh, I don't want to live in mom's house or dad's house anymore. I want to do my own thing. So there's a secondary unfoldment, and this is created by the somethings, right? So this is what we call the express universe. There, everything happens. It is like in the express universe, different to the civilized express universe. In the express universe, it's like everything, you can do whatever. Like there are no rules, there are no regulations. It's like everything can happen. So our sun is kind of like coming from that area of the universe, right? So because in that instance of a star, it is as if it needs to generate experience in a way. And of course, it's not going to be looked at as experience from the perspective of the solar, from the solar perspective, but something like that. So in this process, this evolutionary process of sun, there's a lot of interference. What do we call interference in LGC? It is it's about consciousnesses in the secondary unfoldment that have lost mainly connection with the primary unfoldment or connection to their native star, or they have killed their native star, which we are in danger of doing. Right? So they did it, like they broke their native star. Their native star went to the antimatter and they were left stuck in the secondary unfoldment. So they search for sources of fuels, resources to continue their temporal consciousness, to develop their temporal consciousness. The thing is that in the solar reality, since the sun was young, these interferences codified, like since the solar code was young, they filled those gaps with external source codification, right? So a great example of this is mysticism, religion. Religion is an external source, not an external source, an external codification, not native to the solar native code, right? So in this endeavor that the sun is going to, this evolutionary process that the sun is going to, it cannot just say, oh, this is not mine, and get rid of it and expel it from the solar system. No, it has to own it. It has to capitalize it, and it has to use it to improve itself, improve its code. It needs it, right? So that's what it's doing. That's what one of the things that's going on in this evolutionary process of sun is that precisely the nativization of the external codification that has been executing itself here as an interference, but it's if sun manages to nativize, to make it its own, then it's going to capitalize it. It's going to document it as failure. It's going to document it as what's missing, and it's going to improve the quality of its codification, the solar native code codification, right? Is that better? So it's all about the improvement of the solar native code.
So then in that way,
You're mute,
everything...
or I can't hear you, Nienke.
I
does
can
it
hear
mean...
Nienke.
Can you hear me?
I do.
You do? Okay, hold on. Maybe it's my headphones.
Can you hear me?
1 second.
She can hear
Okay.
me. That's
Yes,
interesting.
yes, it was my headphones.
Okay, good. You blocked me. No.
Yeah.
Does it mean that those interferences, like they will stay here in the and when they will stay here, but they will get a place, so it is all more... Yes, I don't know how to see that. Okay, it will nativize, so the sun can see where it went wrong, where what the failures are, how it can develop with those interferences staying here, or I cannot really grasp that part.
We could separate into different things. The consciousness itself, the consciousness that's living in here, and
Yeah.
the code, right?
Yeah.
The consciousnesses that are doing whatever they can to keep the control. It is as if the sun is going to negotiate and be like, okay, do you want to be part of the project? But you have to agree with certain terms and conditions to be a part. Oh, there's Gabby. To be a part, I'm just going to finish this thought. You have to agree to certain terms and conditions to become a part of the club of sun, and you can stay. But if not, you have to be leaving. This regarding the consciousnesses themselves that are using the sun's resources. Yes. Now, when we're talking about the code, we're talking about remember last year when Alejandra explained in the Ring of Fire how they were using certain dates to manipulate the flow of signals, and the native date of the wheat to do certain things with the satellites and such.
Yeah.
There we're talking about code.
Yeah.
So when Alejandra finds these anomalies, like the anomaly from 396 and the missing days, things like that, that is actively recuperating or recovering solar native code, reconfiguring it. Yes.
Yeah.
Identifying those anomalies and connecting dates to dates and doing those reading between the numbers and such. That is actually nativization of external source and feeding it to the solar native code.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is done by sun, right?
Yeah.
What we do is we receive and we observe, because we're purely we're receivers.
Yeah. So that way, by what she is saying, she helps the sun with kind of repairing the things that the interferences had done with the code.
With the assistance of Andromeda, right? the
yeah,
assistance
yeah.
of Andromeda.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Really
Do you
clear.
hear me? Yeah. So what I understand that the sun was immature till the 1st January this year, and now with the help of Andromeda, she's become adult. What I understand from your explanation now at this moment, that before there was a freedom of interference and foreign code, now she is making, or he is making, the sun is making the rules.
Okay, so
See,
there is
because
this,
he or
we can't,
she, the
hold
sun
on,
is
we
more
can't,
mature.
we can't say that it's starting from the 1st of January of 2024. No, because from the solar perspective, it is different. Like for the sun, 4 years is 1 unit. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from our perspective, something happened January 1st, 2024. But from the solar perspective, the sun has had this plan since the beginning of 2012. This was the beginning of this whole scan of everything that is inside the solar system to make this Alejandra calls it computerized tomography, right? Scan of everything, right? And the thing is that it is not that the sun is making the rules. It is that it's entering an area of the universe that which we call civilized express universe. And to qualify to be a part of that other neighborhood, it needs to have a really good quality in its codification. So the regulations are regarding the civilized express universe, which has a lot more restrictions, a lot more situations that you have to abide to as a star. And this is what the sun is trying to qualify as.
This is more, I understand it more clear now.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much, because
Mhm.
it's no rules, it's more clear about their codifications. Yeah. Okay,
It's
wow.
about the quality of the solar code. And if the hi, Gabby. And
Hi,
if the,
sorry.
yeah, it's okay. If the solar code improves, then our local reality improves as well. Because where we live inside the mind of the sun. And our reality is going to be according to the quality of the solar native code as well, to its code. So another beautiful thing she said is like, okay, if sun qualifies this, then we have an amazing and extraordinary opportunity of space temporal education, unprecedented space temporal education. So, wow, I would really like to be here for that.
And I remember from last time, from her 109, that we are ready in 2100. That's what I remember. So we have still some years to go.
We have a lot of time to inherit the matrix and see if we qualify for that, because that seems like a big responsibility. So
And she also said we don't have to use the word matrix, if I understand it good, in the 109.
oh,
One of
don't
the
relate it to the movie. No, wasn't it? She was like,
That's
don't
it.
yeah. She was like,
Yeah,
don't
thank you.
relate it to the movie, because the movie, I mean, before she talked about the matrix and used it as a didactic, as like as material for education and all. But now that she's actually talking about the matrix, the actual matrix, she's like, no. The actual matrix is something much more simpler, much more simple than what they portray in the
Yeah.
movie. Because everything in the movie has a lot of mix of things that are just gonna confuse us. So no, the matrix is just an interface between something and another something. It's an interface, right? A codify interface is like the base code through which we experience reality. And this matrix that we are using right now was codified by this external source interference, the interference of the solar native code, right? This was created by an external consciousness. Why? Because the quality of sun was not very good yet. So it was managed, its resources were externally managed. It comes to mind something from pop culture. I don't know if you know what happened to Britney Spears, for instance. She's this international pop star, very talented, very successful. And I don't know, in close to the 2000s, she has a breakdown. And her family puts her into a legal conservatorship, right? So basically, they kidnap her and they put her inside a mental asylum, and they start to use her as moneymaker, force her to do things. And this legal thing, like her parents did that to her, and they broke her, they completely destroyed her. And why this is, I relate this to a fractal of what happened to the sun. It is a young, vulnerable star full of potential, but it doesn't have the maturity to administrate itself yet. So it is externally administrated. It is externally managed. But because it's not native, it doesn't really care what happens to the actual, doesn't really care, because all they want is to extract something from it. So I think something like that has happened to the star, and the star is now maturing, the sun, and it's like, okay, I am identifying how I'm being used and manipulated. Like, it's an evolutionary process of the consciousness of the sun. So it's like, it's thanks to Andromeda as a support. It's like, hey, here, you have this here, you have this here in your code, fix it. Just points it out. And Sun has to be like, okay. And that is the exam that Sun is going through, the exam. And it is about creating a better quality of code and then executing it and seeing how good it actually is, right? And that is the process that Sol is going through right now. In the case of Britney Spears, she doesn't have that opportunity. She's completely broken.
But since when is that Sun is interfered? All humanity already, always?
I think Alejandra has said that, yes, humanity has been brought up like with the interference, intertwined in our culture, like in everything.
Always, from the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning, because
Because the sun was immature.
Older civilizations always had, I don't know if you have seen the Mayans, this is what I have mostly fresh in my mind, that in the Mayan culture, they have hieroglyphics, and they look like spaceships, they look like aliens, they look like technology that wasn't available to humans in that time. So and also these ancient civilizations had a connection with the stars and with the external. It never was like, some of it was like, it's not all external interference. Like, not all of the code is interference. We could see some solar native code, some in our history, in our culture, but the predominant paradigms and cosmovisions always have to do with like competition and destruction of the weakest, and like colonization and control and power and war and all these things. These are all external. Like, these are all paradigms from the external and interference of sun.
Isn't that also an interference from our own, like Hammer, all the things that we have the disturbances on all these layers?
Sorry, come again?
Like Hammer. We also have
Dr. Hammer.
Dr. Hammer, our biology.
What you mean,
We have all
Gabi?
this-
Do you mean the evolution of the kiembladen, of the layers.
Yeah, all the layers. Yeah, there's also the
Yeah, the
problem we have
endoderm.
with.
So we
yeah.
started
Mhm.
5 billion years ago, and we have this evolution, and then we started to live on the land. Then we started to grow, and then we started to live in groups.
Mhm.
But then there's
Is that
also
what you
the
mean,
problem
Gabi?
of not, yeah, but that is also the problem when you have their inslag, how do you say? When you have something in these layers
conflicts?
that you conflicts from Hamer come out also out in that you cannot go with other people and then you fight with other people. That is also in the Hamer in the biology. It's
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
always from
Yeah,
outside,
but
it's also from inside.
The thing is that the stages of life on Earth, right? These things are biological, right? They are
Yeah,
biological
yeah.
problems and they make us do things, yes. Like instinctively.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we could see that animals also have these stages,
Mhm.
right? The thing with humans is that there is another layer. And that is the
Yeah.
layer of self-awareness and reasoning.
Yeah.
And this is where an interpretation of these biological programs, the interpretation comes into place, and what we do, how we administrate those, right?
Mhm.
Before, in the 400 apparatuses, we didn't really administrate them. We were
No.
administrated. Like, it is as if our biological problems were a little device with buttons,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
external
Yeah.
interference push those buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extra.
Yeah. And
Mm.
because we were missing a lot of code to interpret the reality we were in,
Yeah.
we filled those gaps with whatever.
But also
And
we missed our self-reflection, eh?
yeah. Because we were derivating, we were externalizing responsibilities.
Yeah.
Because we just weren't in the time yet. But now that we are in apparatus 500, now it is like, okay, now you have to administrate these 4. You have to administrate it. And now you have the possibility and the potential to do it.
Mhm.
Now we have to learn. That is like,
But it wasn't available earlier. It wasn't available
exactly.
too.
It wasn't available. It wasn't ready. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, that is the first question from Marjolaine. Nativization process of all the foreign code. Is this good for you, Marjolaine?
Yes, more than.
Okay. Okay, so next question from Nienke. Row 4 doesn't affect our gravitational octave. Do you have any more?
Have you stand row 8, Denise? Row 8 doesn't affect our gravitation
Yeah, the
octave.
extra row. She
Yeah,
was
row
explaining the
8.
difference and said, okay, but this is like an extra row that doesn't affect the one we had already, the 7th row, and with our
Mhm.
gravitational octave, but it is only, but it is more, but I couldn't really understand how, her way of thinking at that time when she was
Okay.
explaining that.
Yeah. This is quite simple. She hasn't really developed it a lot more than this. So,
Okay.
you know how she's been talking about adding this 8th level so that francium is actually in the 8th level, the 87, the gravitational octave, because she said, okay, the fact that francium is in the 7th level, this is an interference. This is not solar native code. Doesn't make sense. So the addition of this new level has to do with the solar native code first is created in the antimatter, right? And then it is executed to prove its functioning, right? But first it's established, and this is what LGC does. LGC establishes new resources, right? Antimatter. That's why we don't talk about energy, because we are establishing things prior to energy, okay? So then when this solar code is ready, sun executes that. But the thing is that since we are receivers and we are projected in a very complex reality, there's a lot of levels where all these levels from the table, all these elements, all these levels, the signals kind of like filtrate that. This new level that she put before, like in the middle of the actual element 87 of the actual gravitational octave, and she cloned that, she did it to buffer or create a space of reception of that code before it reached the native octave. Because if it reaches, like if this new code reaches our gravitational octave, it kills us all. So it is a buffer, it is a curtain, it is a new, like a prior space to reaching our most dense existence, so that it
Okay.
doesn't break our octaves. Yeah, is that
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
a space? So this is a space. It's not actual elements. Mhm. Okay. Oh, Gabby also has questions. Good, good. Question 1 about the program Destinies succumb. Can you open up this some more, and why Sun cannot tolerate that anymore? Are the program Destinies interfered? So the program Destinies, we need program Destinies to exist, right? Like prior to existence, we establish an agreement with the space you're going to be projected into, right? And for that, you need to consider many things. The setting needs to consider the particularity of your consciousness. It needs to consider that. It needs to consider the purposes or the interests of why this particularity is projecting itself into this specific setting and such. This program destiny is a configuration, like it's a very complex thing, and we all need it to exist. Like prior to it being born, it's something that needs to be there. It needs to be there so that we can exist. Program destination. It's not a bad thing. It's something necessary. It is like a technical thing that we have. So Ale, what she has been saying is that all of our program destinies are expired. Really, like actually, they are expired. Why? Because in this new time, like from the event horizon and on, what she has been saying is that we have to be responsible for the creation of our own octaves. Now, when in the past, in the 400 apparatuses, we could, like, people could live with one octave all of their lives, and it lasted them 80 years or 60, I don't know, a lot of time. And now our octaves only are, we can only use them from year after year after year, right? So she's saying our program destinations, like all of our program destinations, they are expired already. And now it is a moment where particularly, personally, we have to be in charge of ourselves, like multidimensionally speaking. We have to be creating, making our regrow. And how do we do that? Well, the creation of concepts, being aware of the different scales, subatomic, atomic, molecular, anatomic. All these things are going to be, this is the creation of consciousness, right? For us, we're becoming aware of scales or areas that we weren't aware of. And this is enabling us to become more responsible of our own existence in different, like having scopes in different scales that we didn't have before, right? And what does this do? This modifies our program destinations. It doesn't mean that we are going to be eternal or infinite, because we're only eternal and infinite in the subatomic, right? Where we're particles. Here, we're always going to be finite. We're always going to be, but the better we get at creating space-temporal notions, concepts, and integrating and accepting the identity, the solar identity, and working with the setting and the environment and the frames, and the improvement of the code, then our program destinies are going to be editable. When before this wasn't available, we had to die and come back to reprogram our destinies, and now we can do that without having to die. Why? Because we are becoming aware. We are establishing consciousness in areas where we didn't have the scope to do before, because it was just immature. It was just not the time. Now, okay, so the program destinies, this is what Ale has been explaining. Okay, they are all expired, and now we are personally responsible for creating more credit for ourselves, argumenting our own existences. Like, why do I want to keep on existing? Am I going to be a part of the project, of the Solar Native Code project? Do I want to continue and work with the frames, to improve the solar code, to improve this local reality, to improve the flow of signals? Now, if we actually do this, and not only in the word, in the speaking, no, like actually axiomatically do it, then our program destinies get reconfigured and reconfigured. So they're editable now. We don't have to die. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool.
Really cool.
Technology. We are great technology. Next question from Marlene. Receiving flow of signals. How we interact with the flow of signals, capture, interpret, generate, resonance. What kind of flow of signals did we receive? Okay, so here we have to talk about psychic structure, right? Because our psychic structure is one of those things that we didn't have access to be aware of or establish before, right? We could say that this is a new attribute to the human species, or the anatomy in the digital identity of the human species. So the psychic structure is in itself, it is purely receptive, right? So let's see. Let me share the image right here. So this, right? This is purely receptive. This is a psychic structure. So here Alejandra explained, okay, here we have primary unfoldment, secondary unfoldment, and here we are going to have a mixture of both, right? So
Can you
how do
show
we
that again, Denise? Because this figure is the psychic structure. Do I understand this well? This whole figure?
Yes. This is related to our psychic structure. I don't want to say this is our psychic structure, but it's related to it.
And can you show the primary unfoldment?
Right here. Remember she talked about it in
Yeah. Yeah.
Primary
It's the
unfoldment right
upper
here.
layer.
Mother nothing, father everything, and I am something. And that's it. That's all there is in the primary unfoldment. It's the source. Then we have secondary unfoldment, the world of the somethings. Yes, so the Club of Sol is a group of somethings that want to create something, right? And then this is going to be a like a mixture of both. The creation of something combined, a combination of the primary unfoldment and the secondary unfoldment, right? So your question is, how do we interact with the flow of signals? The interaction of the flow of signals is purely receptive. Like in a first instance, is purely receptive, right? Alejandra is just showing the how these are received so that they can be organized better. And this reception of signals is also related to the stencil update. Wait, where is it? See if I can find it. Oh, I don't have it at hand. But remember the personal, clan, species, and setting, right?
Yeah.
Where she
The
explains
four.
the flow of signals as well. Okay, so these two things are related to what you're asking. The flow of signals. How do we interact with the flow of signals? Reception. And these flow of signals is in re, always in re, right? So something I think she explained is that if we interfere the flow of signals with our psychology, then we are not leaving that empty space for the reception of signals, right? So we have our Wernicke area and we have our Broca. Our Wernicke area is where we receive. This is mute. Remember, we talked about this last time. It's mute, there's no text, it's not codified. It's a signal, it's mute. When we're trying to explain ourselves what happened, that's where Broca comes in. That's where we use our psychology to explain to ourselves what we have received. But this is a different area, completely different area. This is Ro now. We're linearizing, we're creating linearity. We're creating linearity by explaining ourselves these signals that we receive. Right? So now, humans are in this new time, it's about making our re-axis grow. This means having more reach or more scope in scales that we didn't know before. What is this gonna do? It's gonna shorten the ro. It's gonna shorten it because the re is gonna be more active, right? So what is needed from us right now is that we argument constantly so that our ro and re can have a balance. Because if we're only receiving in re, and we are not argumenting, we're not generating linearity and ro, what's gonna happen? The ro is gonna close up and re. So this is why it's really important also to use our Broca, exercise our Broca, because it's part of our creation of linearity and argument of what we receive in our mute. So, but here's the catch. How good or how trained is our interpreter? Because according to our interpreter, we're going to be codifying these signals. Broquear is to codify what we're receiving. But what's going to happen if my interpreter is still interfered by or contaminated by external source code? And it's not the interpretation of the solar code. It's not the interpreter of Sol. What's going to happen? Then I'm going to be codifying with bugs related to the external natives, the interference to the native solar code. So this is where we have to be creating our interpreter, constantly checking our interpreter. How am I interpreting these signals or the things that are happening to me? I have to be very, very aware of this because it's really important. It's going to be codified. The quality of my interpreter is going to define the quality of my codification and the quality of my reality as well. Now, if I'm codifying wrongly and I am not doing a very good job codifying, and this is being reflected in my personal reality, but then my interpretation of the result of my reality is like, oh, it's fine. Like everything happens for a reason and things always fall into place and everything's gonna be fine. And then I'm not taking responsibility for
Mm.
my lack of quality in the codification. And I'm not taking responsibility for, I'm not being aware of the quality of my interpreter either.
And
Right?
which
So
part is the
So-
interpreter?
the interpreter is right here. Here. Remember la?
Ah, yeah.
La, right here. And in the periodic table, it also has a place. Let's find it. It's a periodic table. It's upside down. Hold on. Here. So here, it's right here. See? It's 57. Gravitational logic, 5-7. So this is perfect. Why gravitational octave? Because, I mean octave, sorry. Rewind. Gravitational logic.
Logic.
Why? Why is it so perfect? Because according to my gravitational octave, I'm going to be interpreting these signals. I'm going to be codifying these signals according to this. So it is very, very important that I am always auditing my interpretations and that I am documenting faults and missings in the execution of this codification. This is a fractal, a human fractal of what Sol is doing with its codification. It is a fractal. Sol is also a space of reception of signals, codifying those signals and creating a local reality, which is its mind, which is where we live, right? But if we fractalize that and we take that into the human life, we are using our psychology to explain to ourselves what we receive as well, right? And the quality of our codification is going to depend on the quality of our interpretation of those signals. But the good thing is that this is always improvable, but it's only improvable first if I know where I am, if I don't overqualify myself. This is the most important thing. Don't overqualify myself. And secondly, I have to be aware how I am interpreting things. And if I'm documenting the faults, document the faults in my, that when the code is being executed, document those faults and be like, okay, what can I improve? What am I missing? What am I missing? And then that's where we derivate. We need to derivate something that we, like a process that we have. We just don't derivate like, oh, I have a hole here and I derivate that. No. Like there has to be a processing. Like you have to do your task, like what's up to you to do it, and then derivate that. Like this is what my reach allows me to process, and the rest, it's in my limit. Right? Help me, molecular double. Help me improve my code. Yeah. So flow of signals. Yeah. That was the question we were at, right?
Yes, it was what did we receive between 2012 and 2021? And this is a beautiful add on the explanation. Yeah. And I saw this the periodic table with 8 layers. Denise, so it's for me the first time I see this with 8 layers.
Yeah,
And
it
I
is the
saw
first
that
time
she
for everybody.
puts, the underlayer double. So I saw in the it's all the same elements, but she put a double. So the 8
Oh, yeah.
and the 7 is the
Mhm.
same. And because I was thinking which element is the La, you know, you have in the chemistry, you have, what is the number of the La? Can you see that, Denise, in the
50,
green?
57.
57. Okay. Perfect. Wow.
So
And it's
yes,
a challenging period
She-
as well to
she
interpret.
cloned,
Yeah.
it was a cloning of the elements, but
Yeah.
she put the numbers a negative because she's like, I don't want anybody to think that these are real protons. There
Mhm.
these are not real elements. It is the establishment of a space. This is a space.
What kind of numbers he put there? Denise, can you?
So it is, so the table ends
Ah.
at, I'm sorry, here. Wait, hold on, 1 second. Before this was here, right? The last space
Yeah.
Ow.
that Alejandra established is 224, right?
Yeah.
So from 224, we have 225, 226, 27, until 256. And
And she put it in the negative.
in the negative, because these are not real protons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understand.
And 256
Yes.
is librarian programmer, programador bibliotecario. Remember that? 256. Programador y bibliotecario, those two words add up to 256, each one. And 256 is 16 times 16. It's day 256 of the year is the last day of lab 16. So that's related to that as well. And the 225 is also related to the 55th frame, which has been used to inoculate ideas into people's psychologies. So this is one thing that she explained. She hasn't explained much more, but this is about the potential of us being able to identify that 25th frame. It is like a hidden message, that we're not able to see because it's too quick. So this enables the potential for us to be able to see that, identify when we're being deceived, when we're being lied to or manipulated. Yeah.
So before we couldn't see the 25, and now we can see the 25, or are
The-
we in the process of seeing 25
the
at this moment?
potential is enabled.
Potential.
Potential. It's gonna depend on every particularity, on the scopes of each particularity. So we have that. You both asked about the Amaterasu ray. It's a cosmic ray. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna look at it. Look at it on Google so I can get it right. It is.
Yes, he put the date as well, 27 May.
Of
Yeah, she made all
2021.
connections to
21.
other dates with, and I understand that 18800 and 881, but I was like, okay, why? My question was, why is she finding that cosmic ray so important? You know, what happened that she made the calculations to her date of birth and other and the first day of the event in Israel? So what was it with that cosmic ray?
The thing is that, I don't know if you guys remember, but when she explains what happened to her regarding the Andromedan signal, she identifies it as a cosmic ray. Yes. So the the Andromedan instruction is in itself a cosmic ray. So when she identified or got to know that there was this socially known cosmic ray, which is called Amaterasu, because it's a cosmic ray.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is, and these cosmic rays are things that alter the function, like the intrinsic functions of our existence, because they're important. Like they move things, they change things, they alter things. Remember 2 to the 12, that concept where in Belgium we had these elections and this cosmic ray altered the computers, where we had they had a problem with the counting of the voting of the votes, and this is related to a cosmic ray.
Yeah.
This Amaterasu, this cosmic ray is something important. Like this is an identified cosmic ray. Like they were able to identify it. So this date of this cosmic ray in relation to Alejandra's native date, it was
144.
No, wasn't it 1880?
No.
Oh, that was.
Yes.
There were a few.
Yes.
I'm mixing up things. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
18800. Yeah.
So she hasn't said like explicitly what about the Amaterasu, but she's like, it is as if they put Alejandra in front of it, because 188 or no 881 is the code of satellites, right?
Mm.
And the satellites administrate basically our civilization based on technology, right? Basically, that's what they do. So this relationship with Ale and the cosmic ray, which rays.
Gabi, can you unmute yourself, because there's
I did it.
Ears. Thank you.
I did
Thank you so much, because I cannot concentrate now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Cosmic rays are known for interfering with our technology, right? So it is as if that relationship with Ale and the Amaterasu is like 1880. So we have solar code 881. It is like a buffer of that. The cosmic ray, the alterations.
Thank you. Clear. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I
satellite
have the
code.
question. What is the satellite code 881? That's one of my questions.
881, yes. So in order for you to make a phone call via satellite, like not via global communication, right? Because I want to call you and I just dial 331 and the number, right? This is a local communication. But if you want to connect via satellite, you have to dial 881. That is like the prefix of satellite communication. That's what that is. And this is also related to Israel, the establishment of Israel, and the first leap second, it's also 881. So this is an external, this is a codification that has to do with the interference of the solar native code. This is an example of that. This 881 date difference from the establishment of the state of Israel and the first leap second being 881, that's an example of that as well. So Alejandra, by getting aware of that and she calls it feeding it to the solar code, that initiates a process of nativization of that code, of that foreign code.
So the 881 is a foreign code.
Satellite code.
Yes, satellite code. But it's the interference code. Did I understand it well or not?
It has been, because the codification has been managed by the interference to the Solar Native code, but it's now in the process of being nativized. I mean, the code itself, okay, maybe I mixed it up, talking about Israel. Forget about Israel. 881 is the code we use to make satellite phone calls.
Yeah.
That in itself, that's just what it is. It has nothing to do with interference. It has nothing to do with anything. It just has to do with satellites, right? Is it clear up to there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Then the other part about Israel is something else. It has to do, that part of that I explained about Israel, that is an example of an external interference codification. That is an example, but it's not it's related to the satellite code, but it's not the satellite code. It's not in itself an interference.
Clear.
Okay. Next question from Gabby. Can you open up the issue with energy and not being connected to the primary unfoldment? Do you also have bad internet? No, I don't. Oh, you can unmute your microphone. Okay, so the explanation for this basically is a little bit what we were talking about earlier regarding the primary unfoldment. Primary unfoldment basically is nothing, everything, something. And nothing is space, and everything is everything that observer has available to observe, right? It's like infinite possibilities, that everything. The secondary unfoldment, I think you were late for this one, Gabby. Secondary unfoldment has to do with the creation of a parallel universe, a universe of the somethings, where they separate themselves from the primary unfoldment. And they want to create something of their own, right? Because in the primary unfoldment, you have everything and you have nothing, but it's not your own. So it is as if that particular consciousness wants to leave that instance of everything and nothing, and because it wants to create something of its own. And that is what Alec calls the world, the universe of the somethings. And in this universe of the somethings, one can get lost. One can get disconnected from the primary unfoldment. The primary unfoldment is the source of everything. It's nothing and everything. It's the source of everything, right? The thing is that if in the secondary unfoldment we lose connection to our primary unfoldment, then we're going to have a problem with energy. So why do we have so many problems with energy in our civilization? Because our civilization has been educated through the interference of the Solar Native code. It has been educated by that paradigm, by that cosmovision. And that interference is not connected to the primary unfoldment. Why? Because they broke their native star, and they looked for a virgin star to use its resources. They're disconnected from from the source, because if they were connected to their primary source, they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be looking for other sources of energy. So energy is something of the secondary unfoldment.
But what I see here now a lot, yeah, here in Holland, they were very energetic and they spiritual here, and now they are into Jesus. a lot of people here now.
Not only in the Netherlands, Kabi, also
Mm.
worldwide. Also
Oh.
going to the Islam. It's worldwide that people going
Suddenly.
to a religion. Also in America. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty
Very
yeah,
interesting.
pretty global. Yeah. Yeah, it's like what we were saying. We have been educated by the interference. Of course, we're gonna have energetic problems because this paradigm and this cosmovision has been installed in us to look to in our code to perceive reality in a way and to act a certain way. And also because this was a space that was open to receive anything. So all
Mm.
kinds of things from the universe came in
Yeah.
here.
Mm.
And, you know, and that's why Ale also talks a lot about, okay, there's this opportunity. If you're here, it's a great opportunity for your soul to evolve as well, along with the solar evolution. It's an opportunity, but you have to make arrangements in your soul, arrangements with the frames, and accept to certain terms and conditions to continue in this adventure, in this process. And if there are consciousnesses here that are not interested in that, because they're just not interested in that, they just want to go and see what they do, and kind of like fugitives, from cosmic fugitives. The thing is that Sun needs to be in control of everything inside its local reality. That is like one of the things that it needs to do. It needs to know exactly what's inside.
Going on.
And it needs to create a safe construct. It needs to become safe. So there's like a lot of things that Sol needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So us being interested in this and like opening up the space to deal with solar dilemmas is how we help. That's how we help, because this instruction is never going to force us to do anything. It is something that we voluntarily do.
Mm.
So this is not something that can be forced, and we can choose to just live our lives and be interested in what we're interested in, because, you know, how is this going to help me in my personal life? Oh, well, it's not really helping me in what I need, what I want. So it's going to really depend on what my, like, the appetites of my soul. If my soul has the appetite to actually evolve space temporally and be educated space temporally, then it's going to open up spaces to deal with solar dilemmas. No, this is something Alejandra also talked about. The solar dilemmas are something like, what does this apparatus have to do with this apparatus? And what does this date has to do with this date? And all these things that she shares with us in every program, these are solar dilemmas. And she also says, like, I am much more aware, or I am much more directly connected to the structure, to the frame, than I am to people. So everything, most of the things Ale shares, you could see that they have to do with solar dilemmas. They have very little to do with human dilemmas, you see? But if we deal with solar dilemmas and we open up a space to reason these solar dilemmas and reason these space-temporal notions, then we are helping the sun in its reception of signals, and we're helping the sun improve its code, and therefore, as a consequence, our local reality is going to be improved. But it's indirect, you know? This is why, like, our egos can't be in the way of this. This is also why a lot of people leave LGC, because they are looking for a personal gain or personal improvement. And I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I don't know for you guys, but my life has improved significantly. But it's not the reason why I'm here. I'm not here because I want to improve my life. I'm here because I want to be of service.
Mhm.
And it's a consequence that my life improves.
Beautiful question, Gani.
Yeah, really good. Okay, next question. Marjolaine, captation of raw. Ale explained gold, dense, and heavy. Okay. This begins with the word oro in Spanish. You recognize it? O-R-O?
Oro. My negative,
Oro.
79. Mm.
Oro, the origin of ro. Right? She's saying, okay, socially, we use gold for whatever we can think of. But interdimensionally, gold is the most important mineral because of its density. It has the highest amount of matter and the least amount, the highest amount of density with the least amount of matter. So it is a intrinsically something that interconnects us. It is a mechanism, it is a mineral which has a function of interdimensional connectivity. Oro. Yes. Now, before 1972, we had the gold standard, where the gold was supporting our economy. And what is economy? Economy is transaction, the administration of resources, and the interaction between ourselves. The way we interconnect with each other, right? We connect with each other through that. Now, someone was like, oh, what if we remove the gold standard? Because there's not enough gold to meet our appetites.
Mm.
So we're just gonna remove the gold out of the equation and just print out money however we want without any backup. Now, linearly, this was just a decision we made. Interdimensionally, this was a huge problem because it generated unbalance in the orbit of the Earth. It generated unbalance in the satellite functioning. Why? Because we no longer had support in our interrelationships, in our relationships, the relationships we had with each other. And this is raw. The connections we have with each other is raw. How we communicate with each other, how we interact with each other, how we share what we receive in our own personal consciousness, how we share it with others. That's raw. Now that was removed. It is like the support for a stable raw access was removed. So what happened is the Earth started to get unbalanced and delayed, and anomalies started to happen. And these anomalies, we call them leap seconds. Leap seconds were added after the removal of the gold standard. Now, this is no coincidence, right? These at first were anomalies, but the sun had to take that back and nativize it. The nativization of those anomalies is what we call the psychic matrix of the digital mind of the Earth, the leap second stencil. Yes, this is the nativization of that interference. It is the reinstallation of a solar native code inside those states that were affected, which was August 1971, the gold standard was removed. And the first leap second was added in June 1972.
No.
And all of that started to happen up until 2016. 40 years, I think it was, 44 years. 44 years we had that tremendous instability. 2017, we have Calendaria. So all of this is solar consciousness repairing its code. It's hackings. It's like, oh, I was hacked here. I was hacked here. I was hacked here, trying to repair that. Mhm.
In Holland, that was in the news. There was also they named that those seconds were added for those in those years, but now that maybe because of the same thing with the Earth, but then the other way around, they are discussing about removing a second.
Oh, they are? Wow. Right now?
It was on the news only a few days ago.
Oh, it's crazy.
So I
If
don't
you-
know what. Yeah,
If
but
you
it was.
find the news, can you send it to me?
Yes, it's in Dutch, but I was like, okay, but they mentioned like the dates between the seconds were added and how many seconds were added. So that was like, okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
because Ale in Red Sea explained it. I remember in 104 the adding of these leap seconds, if I'm right. And that's very interesting what you say, yeah, about these seconds. I haven't
Mhm.
heard it.
Oh, you don't know about the leaps, the matrix of the
What
Earth and the
Nienke
leap
is
second?
saying,
Oh, what
yeah,
Nienke is
that's
saying.
what
Okay.
I read in the 104, but what Nienke is saying now about a couple of days ago, I haven't heard.
Yeah.
No.
I will send
And
you.
I'm
I made a
always
screenshot
going
of
through the news.
it. Yeah, I will send it to you. I have it now only a Dutch version, but I will see if I can find something in English. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can send it to Alejandra because that's really interesting. See what she says about that.
If you have this, I can subtitle it and translate it in English and Spanish, Nienke.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically gold has the function, it being a mineral, right? We know we have the mineral realm, we have plant, and we have animal, right? The minerals basic thing is to receive. And minerals have the function of interconnectivity, reception and interconnectivity. And then the second realm, which is plants, is the functioning of those things that are being recepted. And then the third is the action that it's going to be taking with those functionings of those things that are being recepted, right? And then there comes the human, which adds the consciousness of those actions. So the mineral basically is reception and interconnectivity. So gold is very important because it allows us to have interdimensional connectivity and reception. So the removal of the gold standard, it was a manipulation to remove that from us and to keep a certain 1% in power. Right? So it is as if the solar consciousness is attempting the reestablishment of gold as a mineral through the leap second stencil through the earth, right?
Denise,
So
there was
this-
a gold standard from 1914 till 1972. So there was only a short period that there was a gold standard on Earth.
Yeah.
Why is there it's an immense difference after 1972 and not before 1914?
I believe
Because we only have
I think this just has to do with like the Industrial Revolution and wars and human things. Because
I think
gold,
before that, yeah, there were no banks who used the
Exactly.
gold as a safety or something, so they can give people money. I
Mhm.
think before that wasn't the case. So they just
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
because
yeah,
gold has always been what it is. Gold,
yeah.
the mineral has always been what it is. What we use gold to do That's another thing. But yeah, like gold has always been used to exchange goods and services from very ancient
And on
times, right?
the value, it has the value. I understand. Yes, I understand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the way we started to use it as the base of our economy, it kind of like set a base for our consciousness as humans and how we used gold as humans. But then the removal of that was like another point in our state of evolution of humans, we could say, which was interrupted.
With that, the printing, the making of like gold, but not real gold started.
Oh yeah, I didn't know
No.
that one.
No,
There's
just
creation
like
of new gold or just new
oh
money?
yeah, that's like the money is
Oh.
not gold, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
was used as it is gold. Before that, it was
Mm.
only the gold
Mm.
trading, but then it's like okay, and only a
Mhm.
few people who
Yeah.
could make the gold. Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
in a way, I see it like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the way the market itself is designed, it's crazy because so my husband Francisco, he's really into economy, right? And he talks to me about it all the time. And we have a certain investment in the market, and we are about to get some how do you say it? To win some money from our investments, right? So I was like, okay, if everybody is investing because they know something's gonna happen to the market, and everybody's investing because they are speculating that the prices are gonna go up and that we're gonna be receiving some wins from that. How are we gonna sell if everybody know, like, how are we gonna sell our assets when we want to get our gains if everybody is doing the same thing?
Mhm.
Right? That was my question. I was like, because I've been educated by him. He's been educating me regarding these matters. So I had that question. He was like, because the market is designed for people that actually know how it works and people that don't know how it works. So the people that know how it works benefit from the ignorance of others. Because
Mm.
when the prices are really, really high, that's where we sell, because we bought when the prices were really, really low. So we sell when they're high. But the people, because there's a measure in the market, a metric based on fear and
Mm.
oh, how do you call that? What that word? Avarice, parsimony, like I don't know how to say it. Let me look at it in Dutch. Gierigheid. I put it in the chat.
Oh, gierigheid.
How do you say that
That's
how
a
do you
really
say
Dutch word. We are very, the Dutch are really
Gierigheid.
how do you say that in English?
I don't know the
You are
English word.
afraid to lose your money. There is no English word. It's really Dutch.
Gierig.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, so there is a
I will
metric in
ask.
the market based on that and fear. So we studied the market and we knew when to invest and when to get our benefits. But when the prices are high, this metric of that and fear makes people buy when the prices are really, really high, and that's how we get our benefit.
Mm.
That's how the market is designed. Like if there are no people that are ignorant, there are no wins in the market. Like there are no investments.
Mm.
I was mind blown. I was like, so you're telling me that when like our investments are worth something because there's people that are gonna buy these assets in the worst time possible to buy them when the prices are like historically high? Yes, people are going to buy these assets when the prices are historically high because they don't know how it works, and that's why we win. That's how the market is designed. That's how it's designed. I was just mind blown. I had no idea. Isn't that crazy? But that's how it's designed, and that is what like a matrix based that was created by an external interference to the solar
Mm.
native code.
Mm.
Because if this
Mm.
wasn't the case, the market would be designed for everybody to grow.
Mm.
And for everybody to be happy where they were, because if you are not where you are, you will never be able to grow. And I can see this in so many people, like they are really bad at identifying where they are or accepting where they are. They don't like it. Why?
Mm.
It's something Ale also talked about. Why can't they perceive like efficiently where they are? Because we have been educated by that interference to not accept that because it's wrong.
Mm. Mhm, mhm.
Where you are, it's not okay. No, you have to be better than where you are. You have to be in a better place. Like wherever you are, it's not good. So we always have to be pretending something we're not. So this is not native to the sun, because solar native code is like be where you are and grow from there. And that's okay. Like
Mm.
no problem with where you are. Okay. We have more questions. If the sun
And the
approves,
economic
oh,
thing is really interference, Denise. It's really
the sun.
interference. So there are only a couple of people on the top who are pushing the buttons. They can create war and they create the interest high up, and you know they really organize the world. And I studied finance economics, so I found out this 30, 40 years ago on this level. And I've been to secret places in London, and it was really scary. So there was a lot of power in this financial money system, and to manipulate people, to manipulate the economy, to manipulate the wars, and yeah, it's really huge. I don't know if your husband has the same view of this, Denise.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Yeah. But we are like, the reason why we're investing is because we want to use it to protect forests. Like we are not using, like we're not investing to make ourselves rich, but because
Mm.
forests are being degraded and we want to protect them. So,
Mhm.
you know, it is like a hack in the system, like being, okay, this is happening. And, you know, he's really good at that. So we're like, okay, we're gonna take that risk. And, but I, like, honestly, I was mind blown because I had some idea, but yeah, I didn't
Mm.
actually know that that's how it worked from the ignorance, basically. The ignorance of others.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, so next question from Nienke. If the sun
The English
approves
word is
this,
greedy. Greedy was the word, Denise.
greed. Ah, it was right there. How could I forget it? Greed and fear. There is a metric in the market based on greed and fear. Isn't that
Yeah.
insane? It's insane. And they play with people's emotions like that.
Mm.
And all the news we see about like economics, these are all manipulated
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
know. It's crazy. And then there's a whole bunch of people that don't even care. So
And the most people, they still believe the interference or in religion or in culture or in science or in spirituality. It's huge. And now I understand, because it's in our education. We are
it's
educated by
everywhere.
this. So
Yeah.
it's so in the system.
Yeah.
It's in our
Yeah.
culture. Mhm. So, okay. Next question is, if the sun approves this, it will send several spaceships to the antimatter.
I really like that, but I was like,
Yeah.
okay, am I understanding this right? You were
Well,
first explaining about the codes and about the identities over here. I like the identities go back with spaceships. Like, okay, when you don't, when we cannot make an, we cannot settle about the rules. You don't want to obey them in a way. Then you have to go back with your spaceship and get out of here or something.
something like that. Like, I'm not sure because Ale hasn't clarified it too much. But she did send a video, you know, this conspiracy videos that are out in the internet, where it's actually it was in Mexico, this really active volcano called Popocatépetl, this volcano, and there was this video, and we could see like a lot of spaceships leaving the volcano.
Mm,
Or objects leaving the volcano.
yeah,
So I
objects.
think, yeah, I think she's relating it to that video, what she said. So I don't know, maybe
Okay.
there are already like actual entities living here, not just consciousnesses, but like actual beings who, like, we don't know, like we have
Yeah.
this information has been hidden from us. But yeah,
She
so
said something about deworming, eh? Deworming.
deworming, yes,
Yeah.
like the
De-
getting rid of the parasites.
Yeah.
She talked about this in lab 4. She was like, lab 4 is going to be like getting rid of parasites. So if the sun approves this, it means like, yes, the sun will be in control of its own codification, of its reception of signals, its local reality, its native code will improve. And yeah, well, it's no longer going to be able to support all these appetites, because they're going to destroy the setting. So the sun is trying to self-preserve. Be like, okay, whatever you like, your appetites cannot be fulfilled anymore. Like, you're destroying me. So yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to your mom.
Yeah.
Your native star. I'm gonna have to talk to her and see what we do with you. Something like that. That's what Ale said. Okay, so the next question from you, Marjolaine, I think we talked about it. The source and primary and secondary unfoldment.
Yeah.
We talked about that, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We take place in space temporal consciousness and not as people. Do you remember what she was talking about in that one? I kind of remember, but
Yeah, because later on she said the
Oh!
word human and the person is a different level. What does he mean by this? And before she was about we take place in space temporal consciousness and not as people.
She was talking about remember she was talking about hydrogens? She was talking about hydrogens.
Before 2733 she was talking about hydrogens, immaterial unconsciousness. Their native is imaginary. We take place in the space temporal consciousness and not as people. This is what she said in minute 27.
She was talking about how everything that's being done with the periodic table has to do with creating a safe construct and creating a market for the hydrogens of the universe so that they want to come here. Because if we have enough hydrogens, the sun doesn't die. So she's like, okay, if the sun achieves this and this becomes a safe construct, then hydrogens are gonna wanna come here. We're gonna get our hydrogen wall and we're gonna be protected in a way. But then she says, hydrogens are gonna come, okay, but not as humans, but as space temporal consciousness, not as people. That's what she was talking about.
Mhm.
And what does he mean? We need hydrogens.
Because hydrogen is the most basic element we have. Like it's our most
the whole
basic
universe.
origin.
Yeah.
It is the
Yeah.
the most basic thing we have, the most common thing we have. Everybody, hydrogen.
Mm.
It is like the base of everything. So if we attract hydrogen here, then we get credit to continue existing.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, like meditation, we have to receive hydrogen. We have to receive hydrogen like this.
Not exactly, because that is more related to energy, and we're talking about antimatter.
So, if we grow by consciousness, Denise, so that means that we receive more hydrogen. That there is possibility to
maybe
put
we
more
could say, like,
hydrogen to our.
Regarding to us, is recovering our connection to that primary instance,
Yes. Yeah.
because that's what we are. Like, the most common origin we have is that. Okay, you guys, you know what? We're gonna have to call it quits right now because I'm really tired. But I think this was really good, really
Yes,
good.
really great. Your
Yes.
explanations were really clear, really good.
Oh, it's
Thank
really,
you.
it's really thanks to you, honestly. Because the receiver, it's the one that gives form to the thing. Like for me, that's how it happens. So really, it's you guys, your questions and the interaction is really, really great.
I had so many questions, and a lot of them they are answered. It was
Okay.
not especially about the
Yeah, yeah.
110,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
in generally about how the things are working. I was all question marks here last week, and now I received a lot of answers. I'm really happy about this.
I'm glad. Yeah, this was really good for me as well. Like it really helped understand and like biologize a lot.
Yes, biologize it.
Biologize.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we're probably gonna have our next program soon. I'll try to
Yes.
have
Yeah.
it ready. Oh, and we'll see each other tomorrow in our cycle meeting.
Yeah.
We're
Yes,
gonna be
and
talking
that
about
is
the
at the normal time. You are in the same time zone as we are now? For you,
yes.
it is the
Yeah.
same time as we normally meet? Okay.
Yeah, the same time. Yes. Yes. It
Okay,
did
good.
move, like Holland and where I am moves around the same time. So
Yeah.
Argentina doesn't change. So yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, see you tomorrow,
Perfect.
you guys. And see
Yes,
you in
thank
our
you
next
very
Bye-bye.
meeting.
much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very much.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.